Josh Hager, President of the Bismarck School Board. It's 5:15 on Monday, March 23rd. I call this meeting to order. Welcome to those of you who are joining us both here and also online. You can find our agenda and follow along under the School Boards tab at bismarckschools.org. Dr. Scher, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Hager?
Here.
Mr. Eastgate?
Here.
Mr. Lee?
Here.
Mrs. Peterson?
Here.
Ms. Presky?
Here.
All board members are present for the meeting, even though a couple are joining remotely. So with that, Dr. Fosnot, would you lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item 1C, the BPS mission, vision, and values. The BPS mission is to empower every learner to thrive. The BPS vision states together our strong relationships build inclusive, collaborative, and innovative environments that create agency and inspire a passion for learning, excellence, and discovery. BPS values are inclusion, excellence, innovation, leadership. You'll also find a link in the agenda to the BPS strategic plan. Item 2 is to adopt the agenda. What are the wishes of the board?
Mr. President, I move that we adopt the agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none. Dr. Scher.
Eastgate?
Yes.
Lee?
Yes.
Peterson?
Yes.
Presky?
Yes.
Hager?
Yes. Item 3, focus on success, science in the classroom. Dr. Fosnot.
Good afternoon, board members. Nice to be with you again. I'd like to introduce to the podium tonight Mrs. Betsy Debertine, who's a 8th grade science teacher at Horizon Middle School, and she's going to talk to us about some great things happening in her class. I've heard you're like the rock star, put the spotlight on you, so you live up to it tonight. So thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Well, I spend my days with 13 and 14-year-olds, kids who are passionate about hockey and basketball and video games and music, and they're dreaming of getting their learner's permits. They spend a lot of time wondering what other people think of them. And into that chaos and that creativity, I try to inject some curiosity and critical thinking about things like black holes and volcanoes and thunderstorms. And all of that happens in the walls of Horizon Middle School. So, to refresh your memory or take you down a guaranteed and viable curriculum path, what we teach in 8th grade is geology, so the study of rocks and minerals and plate tectonics, all of those things that make our Earth look the way that it looks. We study astronomy, the stars, the planets, distances in space, gravity, and Kepler's laws of motion. Meteorology, we study the weather, cold fronts, warm fronts, the water cycle, all of those things. When I start my school year with the students, one of the things I do is I introduce this hashtag, Embrace the Awkward. And it describes one of the ways that we explore and learn together. So, why do we embrace the awkward? The big idea is this: movement, engagement, novelty, and relationship. All of those things help to improve learning. So the first one is that movement improves focus and memory. Research on kinesthetic learning shows that physical activity, even just short little stints of activity, can improve concentration and working memory and academic performance. That physical movement increases blood flow and oxygen to the brain. That goes into a little physiology lesson there, and all of that supports cognitive processing and retention of information. Active participation increases retention. Students learn more when they participate in the learning process rather than just passively sitting and listening. Emotion and novelty strengthen memory. Novel experiences and the addition of emotion create memories. So when students laugh, when they feel a little awkward or experience something unexpected, their brain is more likely to encode that information. And then it builds classroom community because we take a slight social risk together. That's the awkward part. And that happens when you do something silly together, and it creates a sense of community. We're just a bunch of awkward people just being awkward together. And of course, I teach in middle school, which is, frankly, the age of awkward. This is me in middle school. But I'm not the only one who's been awkward in middle school. So has, can you name this board member? Mr. Eastgate, yes. And the father of a future two-time back-to-back state championship basketball player. There he is, right there. So, hashtag Embrace the Awkward is just where we live in middle school. It's not just a pedagogical idea. So, my students are going to show you what this looks like in our classroom, and I was thrilled that they were willing to say yes when I asked for volunteers. And I thought, I didn't really think I would get enough, but every class period when I asked, they said yes. So there's a little snippet from each class period because there were volunteers from each class period. So now, hit it. These are your kids.
Hey Bismarck School Board, this is first period Mrs. Everton's class. We're going to hashtag Embrace the Awkward with
I'm an igneous rock.
I'm an igneous rock.
Weathering and erosion.
Weathering and erosion.
Compaction and cementation.
Compassion and cementation.
I'm a sedimentary rock.
I'm a sedimentary rock.
Heat and pressure. Heat and pressure. I'm a metamorphic rock.
I'm a metamorphic rock.
I'm melting.
I'm melting.
I'm cool.
I'm chill, bro. I'm chill.
I'm an igneous rock again.
I'm an igneous rock again.
We're Miss Everton's second period class, and we're going to be explaining the three main elements that make the tectonic plates move.
The three forces are mid-ocean ridge, slab pull, and convection currents. Hashtag Embrace the Awkward.
Mid-ocean ridge, go.
Explode and push, explode and push.
Slab pull.
And slide, pull, and push, slab, pull, and
Convection currents.
Hey Bismarck School Board. Today we'll be showing you about plate boundaries, and this is Miss Deberton's third period class.
Convergence, divergence, transform, subduction, because of convection.
Alright. Hey School Board, we're Mrs. Everton's fourth period science class, her favorite class, and we're about to show you how we understand the difference between revolution and rotation.
Watch me revolve, now watch me rotate. 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 Rotate, rotate, on my axis. Rotate, rotate, on my axis. Rotate, rotate, on my axis. Rotate, rotate. Revolve around the sun, revolve around the sun, revolve around the sun, revolve around the sun. And with my tail, that makes the seasons. Yeah, with my tail, that makes the seasons. Hey,
Board. This is Ms. Deverton's 5th period science class.
And we're going to use hashtag Embrace the Awkward to teach you about lunar and solar eclipses.
Here's a chant to remember. Solar SME, Sun, Moon, Earth, Lunar Sem, Sun, Earth, Moon.
Solar SME, lunar sun. 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 Solar SME, lunar sun.
Here's your school board. Here's your turn to embrace the awkward.
All right, Bismarck School Board, the gauntlet has been thrown. So will you please stand up? Everybody, please stand up. All right. Okay, let's see. Okay, we are going to go through the rock cycle. And so, oh, it went away. That's okay, no problem. Okay, yeah, everybody, yep, stand up, everybody. Let's go, come on. Okay, so we are going to start with the igneous rock, and then we're going to go all the way through the cycle. It's what first period did. So I'll do the action, and then you repeat after me, okay? All right, here we go. I'm an igneous rock.
I'm an igneous rock.
Weathering and erosion.
Weathering and erosion.
Compaction and cementation.
Action and sedimentation.
I'm a sedimentary rock.
I'm a sedimentary rock.
Heat and pressure.
Heat and pressure.
I'm a metamorphic rock.
I'm a metamorphic rock.
I'm melting.
I'm melting.
I'm cool.
I'm cool.
I'm an igneous rock again.
I'm an igneous rock again.
Good job. You hashtag embrace the awkward. Way to go, everybody.
Nice work.
Wow, and you thought you were going to get away from that mic that quick?
Oh, sorry. I thought that was a... Yes.
Board members,
Oh, okay.
questions or comments?
Oh.
Mr. Lee?
Thank you, President Hager. That was very awkward.
Good.
Don't ever do that again. No, I loved your class. I loved the motion. I just love the kids. It's always fun to see the kids.
Yeah.
And it had occurred to me that, you know, nobody is better equipped to handle the energy of 8th graders than the wife of Kyle Deberton. So God bless you.
Yes.
Thank you for what you
Thank
do,
you.
and this
I
was a great
appreciate it.
report.
Mr. Eastgate?
Your turn. No, thank you very much, Ms. Deverton. Having had one of my kids in your class, and then a lot of friendly faces up there from your video. So it was really fun seeing some of those kids embrace the awkward that I don't know if we get to see them do that enough. So good job. I was going to ask who did the choreography, but after you had us stand up, I think it's you. So appreciate that. No, I think it's great. You know, anything that we can do to get creative, get the kids moving around. And I know your passion for the classes that you're teaching, and I just really appreciate it. I love to see educators who I think are as excited to teach it, and then hopefully that catches on with some of the kids, especially those that are leaning towards science and all the different STEM things. So appreciate you very much, even though I thought those pictures were for something in your class, so you got me. Thanks for that. Appreciate it.
I did ask Mr. Fosnot for some, but it was too tricky for him to gather them up.
That was a pretty deep box.
Yeah, thank you, Mrs. Deverton,
Thank
for
you.
coming and presenting. I do have a quick question for you,
yes.
though. I'm curious. When you start your year, does it take a lot to get the 8th graders to dive into it like they did in that video?
Well, I tell you what, 8th graders will try just about anything for a Jolly Rancher. So there is just a little bit of extrinsic motivation to get them going. But once they realize it's fun and it's silly, they're okay. But I do keep giving them Jolly Ranchers every time we do it.
That's great. Thank you.
Yep.
President Hager, if I may.
Yes, Ms. Peterson.
So sorry. That was amazing, and I don't know if you probably can't see me, but I was doing the awkward from my hotel room in Washington D.C. But I also just wanted to. I don't really have a question, but I wanted to just comment because I, as somebody who has obviously, 3 awkward boys of my own, but I've been so impressed with the science program in Bismarck Public Schools. I have, at least 2 out of the 3 of my boys have really embraced the science field, and I'm assuming that many of the students that come out of your classroom are now kind of in the same places. Our science kids in Bismarck Public Schools have been competitors at, science Olympiads and all of the different fields, both Bismarck High and Century, and I know Legacy's right on the heels of it. So I just wanted to, I know that sometimes in the middle school fields you don't get as much credit as some of the high school places, but you guys are really growing this, and it's clear from your classroom that those activities not only are fun and awkward, but they also are actually resonating with the kids, and our science data shows that. So thank you to your team and all of the work that you do, because that was really fun. So thanks for making me smile here in DC, and that was a really cool presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, that brings us down to item 4, which is public comment. The board recognizes the central role parents play in the education of their children and supports active parent involvement in the education process. The board's practice of public comment reflects and aligns with policy BCBA and the spirit of its intent. For classroom issues, it's best to follow the chain of command: teacher, principal, assistant superintendent, superintendent. For district issues, please reach out to Dr. Fosnot. If you do speak tonight, we simply ask that you be responsible, be helpful, and be respectful. Our BPS students deserve to have adults model the expectations we have for them. Groups are urged to select one spokesperson. Individuals will be limited to no more than 4 minutes and will be notified with 30 seconds remaining to conclude their remarks. The board will not debate issues as presented, but will take such matters under advisement. I believe we had some follow-up from the last meeting, Dr. Fosnot?
Yeah. If you want, if there's no public comment, which I don't see any, I would respond to the 4 questions we got from last meeting from Ms. Neary, if that's okay.
Yeah, unless you want me to open it up for public comment first.
If you want to do that
Okay.
first, then I'll finish.
Okay, we will now open up for public comment. If you do wish to speak tonight, please approach the podium. Okay, seeing no one, public comment is closed. Dr. Fosnot?
So I did create a response because Ms. Neary in her sharing her concerns about Head Start last time did have 4 direct questions. I thought they were very good questions and worthy of a response. So she's not here tonight, but if she's listening or to the community, hear those questions. And her first one was, how are we going to continue to serve needy families if we can't get them where they're getting services, or point getting our children to school? And we'll continue to support Head Start programs in our community. I did go out to the North Dakota Head Start Association. There's approximately 45 Head Start programs across the state. And only 2 of those are actually operated by public schools. That'd be us and Grand Forks Public Schools. And we were the only ones providing any bus transportation. All the rest of those are done privately by the outside group that's doing that. Many times that those programs are operated by community organizations such as Community Action, which is across several communities. Human service centers or tribal governments are operating those, not the public school. And over the past year, we've done extensive work on our transportation system, as many people know. Historically, BPS has also provided transportation to Head Start students, which require diverting resources from our core K-12 transportation system. As I shared before, that was the primary reason for the challenge and us considering the change. But again, I believe we are the only entity, only public school that was providing any transportation service through for Head Start across the state. But again, the reason for that change this year was due to our continued pressures of making sure we have a transportation system that's serving our K-12 kids, and particularly our kids with special needs, because that's what Bismarck takes care of, Bismarck Public School. One of the other things that she asked is, were there any surveys or focus groups conducted for the families that and staff most affected by the change? I would tell you, no. Did I go out and ask for a focus group or do a survey of Head Start parents? No, we did not. And respectfully, I did that because when we thought about it, if there's any group and you're going to say, well, we're going to take away transportation completely, do you support that? I would have expected none of the Head Start parents to say yes. I mean, that's just, I try not to ask questions where I think I already know the answer, or I'm going to put parents in a box that they're going to all respond, well, yes, we want transportation. I still have to make the hard decision that we had to make anyway. So that's respectfully. I also think when we've met with, and we met with Amanda Carlson, who runs our Head Start program, but also Valerie Bakken, who's our coordinator and is in charge of BSEP, Ms. Danica Nelson, who's our Student Support Services Director. As we talked about it and the continual pressures of transportation for special ed kids, and Mrs. Nelson had been working on that throughout the whole year as we've navigated that. It just became, we have to make a choice. Which services do we have to provide? Which services are optional? And then really the hard decision of saying optional is optional. We have to go to where we have to provide services first. So again, respectfully for the parents, I try not to ask you questions where I know you're all going to vote in favor and I can't make that choice. So I really appreciate her question though. Her third question was, does the board plan to measure impact of the change? I would say yes. I think it's my job to bring to you what our enrollment is. How many seats do we have filled in our Head Starts? Are we able to keep capacity where we're at and what is funded? Yes. I mean, if we find out that we have X number of seats unfilled because it's becoming very difficult for families to get their children to the program, well, then we have to figure that out. But if we are able to keep it at capacity, okay, it's serving the community. Families are making a choice that this is still worth it, and they're getting their kids there. I think that's a data point we should be monitoring, and I'll bring back to you. And then, are there any contingency plans? I think her most passionate question was for families affected by this choice. Even though we will not be providing busing in the traditional sense of what we have been providing, we have committed to BSEP and Ms. Bach and Ms. Carlson that we will, we have a large fleet of vans at our disposal in the district. We use them, almost all the schools have some access to that van type transportation. We would divert some resources to BSEP so they have the availability to use a van as needed. That's a little easier to staff because any of us could go drive a van if we're working for BPS, unlike a bus, which needs special licensing. So if a family does have a unique circumstance that's causing transportation or getting to school to be a challenge, we will have some access to a van to help accommodate them on a short-term basis. So I think we need to continue to communicate this with families. Really, we've had the decision early. That's why we rolled it out last meeting or 2 meetings ago to give people time and awareness. The decision wasn't made any earlier, and I think we're continuing to try to communicate with families now until through the summer as we get into the next school year, because again, this won't take effect till fall of 26. So just, again, my response to her 4 questions.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Fosnot. Item 5 on the agenda, academic achievement science. Dr. Fosnot.
And for that, I'd bring up Dr. Johnson.
I don't know if this is going to be as interactive, but I'll be willing to answer questions here. President Hager, members of the board, appreciate your opportunity to visit with you again this year about our science results, R2. We find it making reasonable progress, and we've adjusted this a little bit. As you can see, there's a lot of work that continues to go on, as you can see, regarding mystery science at the elementary level, how we're training our staff to be able to embrace and teach and have access to those curious minds to be able to engage in that process. At the secondary level, we have representatives from LDI as well as guiding coalition teacher representatives. That come together and periodically continue to just circularly unpack our standards and be able to figure out what are the best activities, how do we really define what it means to be proficient, and how can we give that feedback. Those are grouped in alike courses, and sometimes we have that across the district, so it's not just people within the buildings, but do we have that commonality of common expectations and standards from high school or middle school to middle school. Same with opportunities for dual credit and where we can have better alignment within the feeder system from the middle school to high school. From that, we continue to do some work about where we can learn from one another and be able to share that expertise of that inquiry-based learning activities, and how can we be able to share. And I know Nick and others led some of that session this past February, so there was an opportunity for our own teachers to share, this is how I attack a topic, and you saw an example too of how we can be able to help our young learners engage with that. Throughout this time, we wanted to make sure that we continue to not only build off of the work that's occurred with the Guiding Coalitions and the National Science Teacher Association, that work that's gone on. Marzano Consultants have, Whitney Owens has really helped out those Guiding Coalitions, but we now move forward and start to identify the standards and where we can provide feedback and start to analyze that data where we can improve. Again, there's been some alignment. I think you've heard some of this before, where they take the mystery science, which is more of the science curriculum at the elementary, and they're aligning it with the wit and wisdom, which is much of our reading and being able to access early on literacy skills. And we know that you have to be able to read and be able to think and communicate in that way, so that you see that overlap. So with the standards, again, we said they're all in either proficient or the baseline. For the first one, we found us to be making reasonable progress with the North Dakota Science Assessment and in science area, and you can see doing very strong in comparison to the state, above average there, as well as when we get into our subcategories. The only one that was kind of in that lower range there was the students with disabilities, but again, all the other subpopulations were meeting or exceeding the state average there. We put for a baseline for the ACT. Again, we've shared this, but if your community is listening in right now, we've had to change from the ACT for all as being a required test to some are selecting. So again, the data is going to look different, and we no longer have provided to us from the state the ability to do a comparison. So right now, that 228 means that there were 228 last year's seniors who took the ACT, and 57 of them met the minimum criteria for being proficient, which is 23 on the ACT. And again, giving some frame of reference, Jeff and Dr. Frost and I were talking earlier today too. What does that mean? Well, that's actually at a decently high standard. It's about the 70th percentile. So again, being proficient, of course, many people are above that, but to be able to have 57% of your students, when you think about nationally competing with that we're at that 70th percentile or above for science, it's something to take pause and be proud of the education that our science teachers are providing and building those K-12 skills, not just for when they finish with us. Lastly, we report on where students are at in terms of their attainment of our standards or a letter grade, so 2.5 on standards-based grading at the elementary, or B or higher in the middle and high school. And so you can see there, we currently have it marked at a 70% target. There's some discussion too about moving that across the board as we shifted to the data being reported the last couple of years, probably looking at Mr. Barnhart and I talked with Ms. Seibel, and really thinking that a recommendation for next year might be looking at math, literacy, and science to move that up to be like an 80th percentile, as we now are starting to track our data being a little bit higher there. So set, again, goals, but that would be up to you, I think, with Dr. Fosnot at your summer retreat to be able to discuss about what you'd like to see in that, if there's a change or not. But that would be our recommendation. And with that, again, we're seeing some great growth and excited about the outcomes that our students are producing, again, due to good educators who care about science and their content area, but can make it engaging for the students that they meet where they're at every day in our classroom. So I'm happy to just speak to that, and there are other people who would gladly fill in there if you have questions too, I'm sure.
Board members, questions, comments? Okay, seeing none. Thank you, Dr. Johnson.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
I would entertain a motion. Mr. Lee?
Thank you, President Hager. To start with, Dr. Johnson, I didn't feel like you embraced the awkward quite enough, so I expect better. You saw
I was
us do
hoping
it.
that Miss Peterson could prove that she was
Oh, well,
embracing it too.
touche. Good point. With respect to R2 academic achievement, I move that the board accept the report as making reasonable progress.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, Dr. Scher.
Lee,
Yes.
Peterson,
Yes.
Presky,
Yes.
Eastgate,
Yes.
Hager.
Yes. Down to item 6. So board members A, B, and C are all generally related to the same item, but for purposes here, we need to motion them separately. So Dr. Fosnot, we'll start with A, and maybe you wanted.
I was going to defer to or Dr. Scher. Sorry, Dr. Scher. If you just give a quick explanation each one.
Sure. So, thank you, President Hager, members of the board, Dr. Fosnot. So essentially what we have to do is an initial resolution. Sometimes these are separated by time, but sometimes they're together. It's just kind of meeting the letter of the law. And then it's actually that we want to do it. The second one is that we have to do a resolution to ask the question on the ballot. And then the third one is authorizing the school board to apply for the state school construction loan, which is for projects over $75 million, allows us to borrow $20 million at 2% interest. That, of course, would be contingent on the vote of the people. But those are the three resolutions in front of the board tonight.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Scher. We'll start with the first one, the initial resolution for general obligation school buildings bond. I know board members, you guys have all had a chance in the lead up to this to comment on the bonding itself. So with that, I guess if anybody else has any additional comments, otherwise I'd entertain a motion. Mr. Eastgate.
President Hager, just a comment. So this is for an amount not to exceed the $127 million, which I think is an important distinction. It's not necessarily $127 million, but it can't exceed that. The other point I want to make is this is giving the community a chance to weigh in on their school system and to vote accordingly. Feel like we're going to be able to educate people on exactly what they're going to get with this money, and then it's going to put us 20 years ahead as far as our physical structures are concerned, and there's a lot of great projects that are packed into this. So I feel really good that the voters are going to have a chance to make the decision.
Mr. Eastgate.
Yeah, appreciate those comments, Board Member Lee. I just want for anybody that's tuning in tonight that maybe didn't at the last board meeting, and you mentioned, but all 5 board members had a chance to give their opinion on this. It's my opinion that as board members, it's our job to represent what's best for kids, what's best for our students, what's best for their families, and our educators. And ultimately, of course, that makes up our community. And so I just don't want somebody to tune into this and see us approving a really big number and not know that we've already talked about that we've spent a lot of time working on this. And so tonight, as we go through these, as Dr. Scherer just pointed out, this is largely an administrative piece that we need to do to take the next step to keep moving to make our already very great school system even better. So I just wanted to make sure that was mentioned from all of us, as well. So as we go through these, President Hager, I won't be needing to comment necessarily on all of them, but I just wanted to make sure that it was very clear that we know this is an amount that's important to our district, and we don't take it lightly. So, but it's the important work that we do.
Thank you, Mr.
And with that, President Hager, I guess, unless you were going to comment, I can.
I was going to open it up and see if Mrs. Peterson or Ms.
Sure.
Presky wanted to say anything, since we can't see you.
President Hager, I'll just echo those same sentiments, and I really like that we are taking it to the people. I think that there is something in this bond for the majority of our school buildings, and there's a lot to weigh into the different needs that our different schools have had, and so I really want to just commend the staff, Dr. Fosna, Dr. Scher, and their entire team for really, I think, being super transparent about what is sort of on the table within this bond. And I encourage, like, as we continue to talk about what I know that what Dr. Fosnat's going to kind of talk about just in a summary way, if anybody has any questions and really wants to like dig into, I think that we have really laid it all out there in a lot of the different materials. And I appreciate not only the open communication that we've had with this board, but we've also taken it to the excellence committees that have had direct stakeholder engagement. And I think that to your point, Mr. Eastgate, is that I think, there's been a lot of conversation. So people who think that we're just bringing this up tonight and voting this really large number without really having had a lot of opportunities to weigh in, I think that's definitely not true. So excited to see what the voters decide and to see the kind of interest area that there is for the different projects across the great city. And with that, I look forward to the motion.
Ms. Presky.
Thank you, President Hager and board members. Thank you for your comments earlier. I couldn't echo them better. I would just say, like, the projects are so vast with this proposal and would affect every student in our BPS system at one point or another through their going through elementary, middle school, or high school. And again, just really appreciate all the work that has gone in by administration to put this plan together. It's very thorough. It's heavy, and we have given a lot of thought and contemplation as well. But essentially, there's no way for us as a district with the funds that we have to work with every year to get something of this magnitude done or address the projects in a timely manner. So. Yes, we just depend on our voters to weigh in on this and let us know the direction that they want to see our great public school system go. So, thank you.
Thanks, Ms. Presky. I guess my comments I would add to it is, you look at what we've done as a board. We've been very conservative. We've tried to be very good stewards with the public dollar. And this right here with what we're talking about really does need to go to the voters. When I think about it, we have gaps. They've been identified within our district, across the district, that need to be filled. When it comes to some of those elementary schools with the ADA things and other things across the district, there are gaps. This fills those gaps. As I heard at one of the workshops, a comment made, it shouldn't matter what neighborhood you live in. We should have a certain expectation across all our buildings, and I think we do, and this would get those buildings to where I think we as board members feel like they should be. The one other thing I would highlight in here, beyond the other things in there really impact all the kids across our district, is the central kitchen. I think about that central kitchen and what that could mean across the district for healthier food options for the kids from that central kitchen. Then what also gets me, and you guys know this, I'm a budget guy, the dollar and cents stuff, $500,000 in savings every year. And I think that we are at a place with this potential bond that's pretty unique, that if the bond passes and as the dollars accumulate for this bond, we have debt on the backside that's rolling off, that's really going to help over the course of 7 to 8 years bring that back down and level it back out to where it is. But it's just this unique window that I think it's really important that we take this opportunity to take it to the voters. So those are my comments. Mr. Eastgate, give it back to you.
Sure thing. Thank you, President Hager. With that, I would motion that we approve the initial resolution for general obligation school building bonds in an amount not to exceed $127 million.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, Dr. Scher.
Peterson,
Yes.
Presky,
Yes.
Eastgate,
Yes.
Lee,
Yes.
Hager.
Yes. B, the resolution submitting the bond questions to the voters for the June 9th, 2026 primary election. Mr. Lee.
President Hager, I would move that we approve the resolution submitting the questions of approving the initial resolution for general obligation school building bonds to the voters of the district at the June 9th, 2026 primary election.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, Dr. Scher.
Preskey,
Yes.
Eastgate,
Yes.
Lee,
Yes.
Peterson,
Yes.
Hager.
Yes. Item C, resolution authorizing application for state school construction loan. Mr. Eastgate.
President Hager, I would move that we approve the resolution authorizing submission of an application to the North Dakota Department of Public Instruction for participation in the state school construction loan program.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, Dr. Scher.
Eastgate,
Yes.
Lee,
Yes.
Peterson,
Yes.
Preskey,
Yes.
Hager.
Yes. Brings us down to item D, school visits. I think we're kind of all wrapped up on that, so we might be not wrapped up close. We got to keep it on there for a little longer. Okay. Okay. At least none tonight. None tonight. Okay. Item 7 is the consent agenda. What are the wishes of the board? Mr. Lee.
President Hager, I move that we accept and approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Dr. Scher.
Lee,
Yes.
Peterson,
Yes.
Preskey,
Yes.
Eastgate,
Yes.
Hager.
Yes. Down to item 8. Superintendent's report. Dr. Fosnot.
First, let me say to all 5 of you, thank you. Thanks for, one, your leadership in regard to the bond discussion, the referendum tonight, but just thanks for your leadership throughout, because I want to make sure that, reiterate what you said. I mean, this has been on the planning stage long before I got here, much longer for you as board members. You've discussed this for years and the needs, and you've reviewed them again and talked about them and how we're going to accomplish them. And it takes a lot of leadership to do that. It takes courage to act, and I appreciate that. And I know it's something you brought to my attention even as you were hiring me, that was something you felt the district had to get to and we had to consider and we had to plan for. And so I just want to articulate my thanks to you, because it's a hard decision. So I appreciate that. I did want to share just some thoughts to the general public. I was going to let you guys do your work on the resolutions, because I probably talked enough during that. But now that it's an action and the next job is thrust in front of us as a team to help educate the community, I thought I'd just share some thoughts which I prepared tonight just to begin this formal process, is why this work matters. Many of our buildings are aging and require significant reinvestment, as you kind of alluded to, President Hager. These needs include improving accessibility for students and community members with disabilities, addressing long-standing infrastructure needs such as HVAC, plumbing, electrical systems, and improving our learning spaces so that students across the district have safe, supported, and functional environments in which to learn. Our goal is really simple: ensure that every student has access to a learning environment that supports their success. And I will steal your words tonight. I do truly believe that regardless of what neighborhood you live in, what neighborhood you decide to raise your children in, they deserve a reasonably similar experience as they go through Bismarck Public Schools. And I think I was in an older building today, and again was reinforced that, boy, there's some gaps there. I was in a restroom that I said, that would be hard for grandma in a wheelchair, actually grandpa, because I was in the men's room, grandpa in a wheelchair to navigate. And that's not right. It's not just about our kids getting through the school day, but it's also about those guests we have, those visitors we have in the school, that you need to say, well, you can't. It's really hard for me to think that we say, well, you can't make it up to your child's classroom because that school doesn't have an elevator. That's just an answer I don't think is appropriate for BPS in 2026. So my next point is why now? The needs you're addressing are not new. As I've said just a few minutes ago, over the past several years, we've carefully studied our facilities through our long-range facility plan and ongoing building assessments. Many of the systems are reaching the end of life, and delaying improvements, I will just be honest with you, we've said this before, I'll say it to the community, delaying improvements, delaying deferred maintenance never saves money. It will be more expensive. And we've seen that over the last few years as we've made decisions of when do we need to address this. Those costs have never declined. They continue to escalate, and the needs don't go away. When a boiler needs replaced at BHS, which I'd tell you it's high on the list, it doesn't just magically get replaced. We have to do it. So I think that's why now. How we got here, as you've kind of articulated, Board Member Eastgate, is it's years of work. It's years of work through our committees. It's years of work of our people putting these things together, architects, community members, engineers, looking at our facilities, having conversations about what the priorities should be, and just making sure that that plan that we've been talking about for months touches as many needs as possible across a very broad district, a very large organization. Now that you have made the motions tonight, I will say, for the sake of the general public, where to learn more. In the weeks ahead, the district will provide extensive information to our community. Patrons will be able to review project details, school-specific improvements, and tax impact information on the district website. We made that live this afternoon. Kind of thinking, well, if this is what you decide, we thought it was right that as soon as you make that vote, if someone's watching for the first time, they should be able to go and find it right now, this very minute. So bismarckschools.org/2026 bond, you will find, hopefully living up to Board Member Peterson's good comments, that we are being as absolutely transparent and open with as much information as we can. We want to make sure that you see that, and we're going to continue to put information on this website as people give us questions. There's already a pretty robust FAQ section, but as we hear questions that are not on there, our promise is to keep answering questions and adding them to the website so people can be informed. I would also add that if you are a member of a community organization, a church group, a coffee clutch, something that where a few gather, please reach out to my office. We are presently scheduling opportunities for me and my team to go around the community and provide an informational presentation about it and address questions you may have before the June 9th election. So if you would like to have one of us spend some time with you, please reach out. The only thing limiting that is probably our schedules and the challenges of our schedules to get those worked in. I know we have presently near 50 opportunities already that will be in front of groups, but if you are not aware that we are, please reach out and we will try to schedule you the best we can. And as Board Member Lee mentioned, I think one of the powers of this is ultimately it's a decision that belongs to the voters. This is a voter decision. Our role tonight, my role was to present it to you over the last few months. Your role was to take it the next step forward this evening, and now the decision is really in the voters' hands. Learn more about what we're proposing, and then vote on June 9th, and the decision will be yours. So as you can see, our theme for this and getting the word out is it is one district. We are one district. We try to take care of all the kids in that district and respectfully take care of them equally, no matter what neighborhood you're in. It's one comprehensive plan, and it is leading to one vote, June 9th. So I would stand for any questions you may have.
Board members, questions? Nope, I'm not seeing any. Brings us down to the financial report. Dr. Scher.
Thank you, President Hager, members of the board. Tonight on the financial report, I would just say generally, the district's tracking positively. We're collecting more than we said we would, and we're spending less than we said we would. Couple caveats. I'm not going to point out things that we've already talked about in previous board meetings, but the one interesting thing is what's really nice about we do a year to date and then we do a 2-year look back. So it's really nice to track, how we've done in previous years. And the one that I just would point out is on the revenue side, we continue to kind of build our analytics related around local with the, last year with the $500 and this year with the $1,600. Excuse me. I'm not sure we have that totally dialed in yet, but that's the only one that's a little wonky because we've not received that yet from the state, the big chunk of money. So it might look like we're trailing a little bit. I think that will correct itself in the upcoming months, but that's the only thing that's on page 2 in that table on the bottom where you can look back for the 2 years. As far as on the expense side, on page 3 with that same table, it's interesting. You look like some of them are tracking expenditures up or down. But if you look general and total, I think that we're tracking a little more positively, which means that we're spending less than we even did last year. Not by much, but it is less. So with that, I don't believe there's any other things that I feel I need to point out to the board. I would answer any questions on any particular line item or item on the financial report.
Thank you, Dr. Scher. Board members, any questions?
Just for clarification, Dr. Scher, that'll show up local, right? That line's a local line? Yeah. You said state, but it's
That's
the local
correct.
line.
The money comes from the
Yep.
state, but it'll show up in local. Yep.
Thank you. Seeing no questions, all agenda items have been considered. I just declare this meeting adjourned.